Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Heartfulness Wellness webinar series. We are gathered here at remote locations in Kana Shantivanam, Hyderabad, where two of us are here. And one more panelist is in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. Before we get into the topic, I would just share a few thoughts with you. What we're going to be discussing today is something that is all around us. We are surrounded by media, we are surrounded by chatter from friends and relatives of the phone. And there is an increased level of stress all around us. It may be tangible, we may acknowledge it. Whether we acknowledge it or not, it is there. And most of us are now looking forward to the transitioning from whatever we've been experiencing so far, individually and collectively, to a state which is likely quite unknown to us. But what is intriguing is that when I spoke to quite a few people, they're intrigued with this transition and how we're going to manage the transition. So the topic that we have in front of us today is the discipline during the transition. I'm your moderator for today. My name is Chinu Srinivasan. I live in Kana Shantivanam Ashram in Hyderabad. I've been here for a few years and just beginning to enjoy the greenery beyond the window right now. And I'll introduce the panelists next. We have with us joining first panelist, Sri Umashankar Bajpai. He's a retired officer from the IPS force. His biodata is on the screen. I'll just walk through some salient points there. He's been a member of the force from 61 to 95, a lovely long stretch of 34 years. During the course of that career, he has been awarded 3 Indian Police Gallantry Medals, 2 for gallantry and 1 for long service. And now after hanging up the boots, so to speak, he's devoting his time to take Sahaj Marg and heartfulness in a broader spectrum based out of UP. Welcome, Bajpai. Welcome to this webinar.
Thank you, sir.
Our next panelist is Captain Vineet Singh Ranawat. He's a Merchant Navy ex-serviceman. I don't know if that term is correct, but you've been serving the Merchant Navy for many years, working with foreign-based fleets of Norway and Switzerland, cruising pretty much all over the world. In chatting with him, I've learned that there's hardly a big port that is not touched, that is not anchored off and wandered to the city to come back a few days later. And for days and months on high seas, discipline is interwoven into his structure. So I think we have a great panelist in the form of Vineet Bhai. I address him as Vineet Bhai and Bajpai, both in staunch service backgrounds, both who have had the chance to not just enforce, follow themselves the discipline. And we are looking forward to your collective insights, guidance, and thought processes, which is going to help us navigate through this much more of a challenging next few weeks before we taste something that is quite ahead of us. So shall we launch into the discussion, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Bajpai, I would lead off with you. If you can tell us a little bit with your understanding of discipline. What is internal discipline and external discipline? How do you want to break this up?
You see, whenever we talk of discipline, the another aspect of discipline comes in, surely. As the other day, Brother Chinu Bhai was telling me that the indiscipline is inbuilt. As he mentioned the word of Adam and Eve, they were disciplined, they were asked not to eat the apple, but they became indisciplined and ate the apple and got the adverse result. So the indiscipline or disobedience is inbuilt, and for discipline and obedience, we have to make efforts. As something was said that all the bad habits, they have tendency to stay. And for good habits, we have to make efforts to make them stay. So the ideal discipline should come from inside. The physical discipline, which is generally enforced. If the person is disciplined, well disciplined, and good moral, then he is disciplined inside and he will be disciplined outside as well. But generally, the people are tend to disobey, as in schools and colleges, in society, and on streets and everywhere. The people have, they tend to be indisciplined and ignore the red light and all that. And only for this, the government agencies, the enforcement agencies are created. If the people are generally disciplined from inside and outside, then such requirement of enforcement agencies will be minimal. So, of course, we find in developed countries, the discipline, outside discipline is very much obeyed. I don't know whether how much they are disciplined inside, because from inside and outside, there are a lot of difference there in the developed and Western countries, where in our country, almost inside and outside is almost similar, very little difference. As for traffic rules and other rules and regulations and obligations, they are created. They are created for the benefit of the individual in particular and society in general. And the thinking of the people is generally towards the freedom, the liberty. And this freedom and liberty, that creates the tendency towards the indiscipline. So, in my opinion, the people should think that the rules and the obligations and many other laws of the country and all those things, they are created to be followed. And they are for the good of the person in particular and society in general. So they are for the benefit of not only individual, but all. An individual should have the thinking, the caring and thinking for others, sharing the sympathy for others. If we start doing this, then the internal discipline will gradually increase. And once the internal discipline is there, the outside manifestation of internal discipline will be seen in the outer external discipline. And the discipline, mental discipline, physical discipline, emotional discipline, all these things we have to, for this particular period of pandemic of corona, we have to concentrate on these disciplines. In India, particularly, I would like to mention that the certain group of persons, they are trying to disturb the lockdown, and they, one way or the other, they disturb the things, they misbehave with the pandemic barriers, the doctors, nurses, police, they throw stones and all that. So all these things have to be dealt with. Of course, the government is dealing with them, but at the same time, the government is thinking, and all of the society members are also thinking, that we have to first fight the corona, not the corona patients. So in dealing with corona patients who are indulging in indiscipline, the government is not very firm and not taking very firm action, because the intention is to deal with the corona first, fight with the corona first, and the deal with these individuals later on. So this is the time of lockdown, which requires the individual to follow the instructions, because to fight corona, this disease, and not only to prevent the disease for himself, but to prevent the disease for others in society. So the lockdown, to remain inside, to observe the hygiene principles, and to observe the social distancing and everything, it is necessary to remain very disciplined in this case and follow the rules. I think this is about the discipline which is necessary for Corona time.
Ajbaji, thank you for that clarification and detailing of internal and external discipline. I would request Vineet Bhai to share his take on all this, because I recall you saying that you were put in an environment of discipline right from early childhood when you went to a hostel. You finished the school and then you went to another environment of extreme discipline. So what is your take on that tussle between the internal and the external, the freedom and the liberty? How did it sit with you? What are the lessons that you've learned from those days that help you today?
Thank you, Chinubhai. I think it's a great journey, because still the internal and the external, there is always a combat. Because in my understanding, a human is born of free will and choice. And that persists in a being. And so this tussle right from the beginning, early childhood, because I was also brought up in a police environment. My father was a police person. And you can imagine the expectations from him, where you can't even lie. It was so natural as a child, you want to get away and make your way through and get your things done. So the environment at home was wonderful. It was full of love. So I can say it was love manifested discipline. So we were not caned. But when I went to the Jesuit school there we would be caned in our early days until they banished the cane itself. So there was a fear syndrome there. At home was loving discipline. On the outside was fear syndrome of fear discipline, imposed discipline. And really speaking, I realized that instead of bringing a discipline aspect from outside, which is always imposing, which brings reaction in a being, it is always good to inspire people and help them becoming self-disciplined. Then it is the easy way to navigate. And the outcome is always more rewarding. It is even more lasting in their lives. So for me, this internal discipline has come from the very childhood. And the very reason was, I never wanted to see my parents unhappy, or my teachers or the school. So when that aspect of compassion also was added, a loving compassion, a concern for others, you find this internal discipline automatically sets in. You don't want to do anything which will annoy the other. And these type of children are easier to navigate. Our lessons were learned when we were parents, and we had to have another breed in front of us who taught us how to inspire others to get into a disciplined mode. So I feel it is good to change a person from the inside, and then it works. It may not serve all, because there are people of different consciousness, different backgrounds, different upbringings, and for them sometimes you have to impose the discipline externally, which may sound harsh initially, but then gradually they tend to understand and respect it. Over to you.
Hopefully that transition will happen without too much amount of side effects and unwanted side effects. But I recall you saying that in this process of external discipline that has been imposed in pretty much most parts of the world, and there's hardly a place where we hear that it is not under some degree or some type of regulation. And I recall us discussing that quite a few good things have come out of this. Vineet Bhai, can you share some of those recollections?
You mean from the current times, if I may ask?
Yes, that's fine.
It is actually an opportunity I take, because I was told that there is a situation. From any situation, you tend to either learn or unlearn something. You can either take it as an opportunity or you can lose out on it. So if I look at this situation with a very peaceful mind, it has given us a great opportunity to introspect, number one, for our own selves. It is helping us to reflect on what being am I and what is it that I should be. Also, it has given us a great opportunity to live with the dear and near ones we didn't have time for. As a sailor, I can imagine if I'm given a choice to be with family, I would never like to let them out, because I have seen the suffering, experienced it for not being with the family, what it means. A sailor always counts days left to go home. Imagine we start with 180 days to go home and gradually are cutting off in calendar and waiting for the joyous moment to reunite. So how beautiful it would be when nature has bestowed with us. We don't value that opportunity we are with our own folks who love and care for each other. So this is another time where we build a stronger relationship, a bonding with our own family members, do the things which we have missed out on. It's a great opportunity. Also to reflect as to what has gone wrong in the outside, which has brought this catastrophe in real sense and put all of us indoors. That also needs to be analyzed and thought about.
See, one of the reasons why the stress levels become higher and more intense is this degree of uncertainty. I'm not certain when this change is going to happen. I don't even know what this change is going to happen. And I don't know how I am to play my role or how I'm going to be affected by this. These are components of this uncertainty which weigh heavily on us, either consciously or subconsciously. And I think one of the things that what I've read in many what the media reports are that in places where the leadership was clearly saying that this is what we're up against, we're going to be closed for next 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And it's only at the end of that period we'll know how we're going to be changing the parameters of the lockdown. Where the clear enunciation happened, it happened in Kannur too. I must thank you for that, because first week of March, we were told that we are going to close down. And that has given us a lot of sort of, I would say, a comfort cushion, knowing that, okay, it's going to come, it's coming, and now it's been with us for some time. So today's webinar discussion really focuses on the uncertainty of something which we have been living with for some time. Now we're about to see changes happening elsewhere. Surrounding areas, surrounding city districts and all that are loosening up. As an ashram, we have been completely protected for many weeks. So there is this anxiety of the expected unknown or unexpected known. These are playing on our minds. How do you intend to take care of those anxieties?
Bhai, I have very simple solutions.
Yes, sir.
Personally, which has served for me in the magical way. Probably again, I attribute it to the Merchant Navy life, because we sailors have storms one after the other. We are living in a life of uncertainty. We don't know how long it will last. Though there are gauges, parameters out of which we know it will last for 7 days, but the waves can be tossing us for a week or 8 days or so. We don't sleep. So what we have tend to live with is live daily. And
Today, in the present.
in the present, in the now. We don't worry about tomorrow. If I survive today, only then my tomorrow exists for me. So all of us as sailors live in the now, in the present. We of course have hopes and aspirations that something will happen. That is natural for a human. But we only focus that today, if I survive, take all the measures, safety measures which are required. We seal the accommodation, seal all openings, make sure the ship is put on the right course. And similarly, right now in the current situation, we all need to steer our ship on the right course. And what is the right course? Which is being guided by the government, guided by our doctors, and we are taking all inputs from the outside world, and we make a course steerage way accordingly. And what are those courses? They say be at home, be safe. That is the first course they are telling us. Now I have choices here. Now that is the most amazing part. Do I need to be really anxious about the current situation and be unhappy, uneasy? Or do I find measures like heartfulness meditation, reading good books, interacting with family, playing games, choosing this moment to become a better person? So once we learn to live life daily and we know what I can do this day because I am still alive, you find there is no worry. We will tackle tomorrow again on daily basis.
Hold the thought for a moment, Vinit Bhai. I want to ask Bajpai ji, Saab, what do you think about this? This approach, living in the present.
Yeah. I do agree with the wonderful idea given by Brother Vineet Ranawat. If in such a pandemic position of corona, see the first requirement are the wisdom. Wisdom lies, if the situation I don't like, I must change it if possible. And if there is no possibility to change it, then we should remain in the state of acceptance. So if we remain in the state of acceptance for the things which we can't change, and the present situation is like that, which cannot be changed by us, so we have to obey the rules and regulations imposed by the leaders of different nations. And those leaders who were very firm in their opinion and for the right action to be taken, they did close the country, they implemented the lockdown timely. And in those countries where the lockdown was timely imposed, the situation is very well under control, as for example in India. And in many other Western countries where the idea of freedom and liberty is too much prevailing, they are outside and inside, they were making demonstrations, they were objecting for lockdown because it hindered their freedom, their liberty. So in those countries, the results are very disastrous. But in those countries where the timely action was taken, everything is well under control. And of course, there is no certainty about when the lockdown will be lifted. But in general, the people are reconciled with the situation. As for India, the lockdown is up to 3rd of May. But you ask anybody on the street or anybody, any person, literate, illiterate, wise or not wise, everyone is reconciled. Everyone is thinking that no, it's not going to open on 3rd May. It will open very limited areas in green zones. In red zones, not going to be limited. So there is no any uncertainty perhaps in the minds of the general public. There is some or the other certainty is there, and they are having in the state of acceptance. So the thing is there. And there are a lot of benefits, many benefits Brother Ranawat has already explained. And in addition to that, there are many other benefits of this lockdown, this situation in country, in India, and other countries as well. The general health of the people has improved. Their digestion has improved. Their food pattern, their thinking pattern, everything has improved. The vegetable food is available. Non-vegetable food is generally not available. So you can imagine millions and millions of animals which could have been slaughtered during all this time. their lives is saved. And for our internal home locking inside, the atmosphere has improved. Today I was reading in news that in our Arctic region, the ozone, it was about 1.2 million square kilometers ozone hole. It has closed down. In India, the rivers are clean. Hundreds and thousands of crores of money was spent on cleaning of Jamuna and Ganga and all these rivers. And in the present time, when the people are confined inside the home, they are not able to disturb the nature. The water in Ganges, water in Jamuna and in Gomti, in Lucknow, I see, they are crystal clear. All those crores of rupees were spent and the water was not clean. And now the water is clean. We have a lot of time for meditation, lot of time for introspection. And the great thing is that our expenses has been curtailed. Our monthly expenses are now very much curtailed because we are
no restaurants.
no restaurants, no fast food, no junk food, no cinema, no shopping, anything. Only the minimal things we are using. You see, our life is now need based instead of want and desires based. So all these benefits have come to us.
Hold that thought there, Bajpai ji, and to both you and Vineet bhai, I have a question. See, a lot of these environmental changes that Bajpai is talking about, clean water, clean Ganga, clean Yamuna, skies are clear, ozone hole is closed, etc. And there are many more others which
birds. I don't know where from the birds have come.
And you see deer in the middle of the city, and so many wonderful things are happening.
Yes.
Now, one of the requirements of a transition period, by definition, a transition is not going to be permanent. It is bound. It's time bound. We need to prepare to move out of the transition into a more long-term, sustainable, workable, supportable environmental frame of mind, frame of the country. Today's clarity of the waterways, how are we going to keep them protected the moment we come off this controlled living? Because what we're doing now is controlled living. You can call it lockdown, but our lifestyle is controlled right now.
Yes.
So once we go out of this controlled mechanism, what is the lesson, what is the preparation I need to do today to support that tomorrow, which is going to be as good as today, if not better, but at least certainly not worse than today? What changes do I need to bring about in my plan of action for myself and my group around me? Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible, because everyone should now introspect that how these benefits in the nature have come out. So we have not to destroy them, we have to keep them. So the locking inside and the lifestyle that we have been running through all this pandemic period, we should think and we should make firm resolve that after this lockdown is lifted, of course it is not going to be lifted immediately and for all and whole of the country, it is not going to be lifted. It's going to be lifted gradually. So the areas in which it is gradually lifted, the people should be trained to remain and to follow the lifestyle that they have been following during last 4 weeks, 6 weeks, because they have got the tremendous benefit out of it. So many persons who were having lot of physical problems, and most of them are under control. If not completely cured, they are under control. So they should maintain the life pattern that they have been going on for this period. For gradually, they should not immediately rush to the shopkeeping. They should not immediately rush to the hotels, not to the so many other things, not run to cinemas and all that. So rushing should not be done. And the one important thing that we should keep in our mind to follow a lifestyle which may be based on needs, not on wants. So in these transition period, something very good is going to happen to the world. And I think many sages are working on this change. And of course, this change of from Kali Yuga to Satyug is not going to come in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It may take 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years. But all these destructions of people who are not, running along with the nature, they are going to be destructed. And after the great destruction, the new civilization, the new culture is likely to come, for which all the people of wisdom, the sages of wisdom, they are all working, not only for our own country, but for the entire world, entire humanity, they are working.
Vineet bhai, what do you feel about this?
I'm quite in sync with Bajpai sir. He's conveyed in such beautiful terms. And somewhere I'm looking onto this as a very positive note, because I went through history while we had time to introspect. I said, let me trace what history has on this earth. And I was surprised we normally don't get time to think about it. We had so many yugas we speak about, but I didn't think about deeply what those yugas meant and why did one change to the other. Also, there were so many civilizations on this very planet. We knew we had Indus Valley and the other civilizations. All of them vanished. Our archaeologists, they dig out, and every time they find another civilization, Dwarka under the sea, and you find Mayan civilization is gone. So there is nothing which is going to be persistent anyway. We humans are also transitionary. We are only transiting this planet. So there is no fear in this, what is happening. It is a nature's way to clean itself right now. Because sometimes it understands that humans have given up. We know the intent of pollution which is there, the level of problems which we were facing on this planet. And we had really no way out. As Bajpai sir mentioned, we would be draining a lot of money to clean the river Ganges, and we were still not so much successful, which happened on its own in a lockdown. So when I introspect, I was wondering what has helped the nature. All it did is remove the human beings from the screen for some time. And that gave Mother Earth an opportunity to nourish by herself. It helped all of us because she is actually reviving her lost wealth, her lost purity. And now it comes on all of us as humans, how I'm going to help keep my environment clean. This responsibility rests on each one of us. I was wondering when I went through 1918 virus, which was there, where 1/3 or 1/5, I was told, 50 million people died in H1N1 in 1918, just after the World War. You can imagine what 50 million number of people are at that time, and probably population was not so much. And one virus could remove it. We don't know how it came, and its studies could be made only after 30 years, where they realized that it was not bacteria, it was virus. For 30 years, they lived under the illusion it was some bacteria which was killing them. So there is so much we can learn right now if we expose ourselves, rather than lamenting and screening on WhatsApp how many people have died here and there and I'm still safe. Of course, we should be grateful. But how do I gauge this opportunity and understand what went wrong earlier so that we do not repeat and these future viruses may not even appear if we live in harmony with the nature and keep it afresh as it should be.
It is quite a tall order for what both of you gentlemen have placed, because many of these things come under the realm of external factors which are beyond my personal reach. I can certainly, and I must do what I need to do from my side, from my position within my reach, inner thoughts, so that this continuous building of positivity, even though I'm not able to fix, say, the pollution that may happen in the river 1 month from now or 2 months from now, when the pollutants slowly start creeping back into our life. But I can certainly work towards keeping my individual environment pristine and clean, positive, and full of hope and a certainty that the good days will be there. And I hope both of you and all of us are on the same page to basics of what we can do individually. But Vineet bhai, I still want to take a few minutes of your time for you to tell me what specific steps we intend to take for the ashram here, because right now we are completely cordoned off. And soon, I don't know how soon or how much time it will take, we will definitely be looking, or we should be prepared to have people enter the ashram from the outside. See, our stronghold, our fort, will not be breached, but it will be opened up a little bit for others to come inside, because the ashram will become functional after some time. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely.
So what specific issue, can you spare some specific points of action that you have in mind so that everybody here continues to be confident and happy and accepting this entire thing in the right attitude? Share with us.
Sure, Bhaiya. You see, this is a very important question, because we have received a lot of mails, a lot of WhatsApp messages and phone calls where people are planning to come back to Kanha. There are some who are out, who are already serving here, and they could not make it because of the lockdown. Considering all the pros and cons as of now, we know that closing gates is the only safe feature. And Kanha in particular has not been really closed. It was closed for common public, but it was supplying 10,000 food packets morning and evening. There were people who were cleaning the campus. The ashram is still clean. So there are a lot of work which was happening with the people who are inside. And the best part was that we didn't have any housekeeping or sanitation teams helping us. So I can literally see the work was done by bare hands by our volunteers and members of the mission who have been living here together. Whether it was our colony, whether it was our ashram, they are doing the garbage segregation and handling even the solid waste, which has been handled much better than it was done ever since. So now when we are coming back to opening of ashram, it is very, very dicey for us to open even when government declares, because we took proactive measures by closing it down more than a week before.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
And we had even stopped Sunday satsangs even before that, so that there are no group gatherings. So we were proactive in our approach to Kanha, and we will continue to do so that the people here, who are nearly about 1,000 in number, are safe. Even if it means we'll have to stop for a little longer than when government announces even movement, we should be mutually agree that we need to keep Kanha safe. This is where our president resides. This is very holy for us, because we live in an open community here. We live in dormitories, we eat in dining halls. There is always mixing. We are maintaining social distances and all these supports, guidance from the government. But for opening of Kanha, it has to be very well thought of, and it has to be done stage-wise when the real time comes.
And you feel that given the pressure building up from the outside world for people who want to come here, the people have not been here for many months, and I see some people who belong here but they got trapped outside, they can't come inside. So there is I'm sure, a longing on many parts. I don't think it's a demand, but there's a longing for people to come back here. So we, as long as you're confident that we will organize ourselves in a very efficient, effective, and sustainable, heart-based way to support us and to support the external environment for people to come inside. If that thing can be carried out the way we have seen it for the last several weeks, nothing short of amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. I know you have a wonderful team helping you with this. All of us are very grateful for that. And even Bajpaji, even though you may want to come to Kana very much, you can't come until we're open.
Yes. I would like to, aid for a request or a message or whatever you may term it for our Abhyasis in particular, and also citizens in general, that after this lockdown, after this period, when it gradually the movements are allowed, we should always introspect and always think that we should not do any action just to again making this corona danger relapsing. So we must stop relapsing, because we should continue to function in a way that we were functioning all alone inside. Our lifestyle, as I have already impressed upon earlier, that we should limit our expenses, because the financial situation in the country is getting bad to worse. So we must continue to save money, to conserve our savings, and just not rush to fulfill our pending desires and wishes during this period. Just not rush to fulfill them. We should try to fulfill them gradually, one by one, so that this danger doesn't relapse. And we should avoid, shaking hands and hugging. We should continue to say namaste to each other. This namaste is now worldwide accepted. So we should maintain the attitude of caring for others, loving for others. And so we continue like this. Our life pattern has already changed. And we should continue with this change pattern for some time, at least for 6 months. And then let us see the result.
You see,
so I'm keen to come to Kana, but I don't want to rush immediately as soon as it is possible. Let others come first, and I will wait. So everyone should have this attitude of waiting.
Yes. Vinitra, you were saying something?
I would like to add only two things, Bhaiya. First is, all those who are out of Kana, they are actually at their home.
Yes.
Kana was their workplace, which also provides home and shelter. So they are not really stranded on the roads like
yes,
they're all at home, they are all comfortable.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, because this virus is so special and it is still on the learning stages for our doctors and scientists, where it says that it can be in the body till 28 days also, because even it has manifested after 25 days of being asymptomatic. So you can imagine, if these people could not be tested positive, even on the 20th day, but they were positive after 28 days. So anybody coming in Kana, we would necessarily need to quarantine them for 28 days minimum. So hence that becomes too much of a liability on Kana and the members to find a place suitable to quarantine them for 28 days.
We don't have that resource.
We don't have that facility.
Yes.
And it is very difficult to impose on our own brothers and sisters, a bondage of such sort. When they can happily be at home, we understand their yearning for Kana and really respect it, because we also feel miserable without them, actually speaking. We are so much used to programs, events. It brings life and joy to Kana when people come here.
See, the Bandara, that 3 days Bandara is the virtual Bandara that we are enjoying at the comfort of our homes. And it never happened in the history of the mission. Never ever it happened. You see, and this time the last Bandara, we had 150,000 people approximately who attended physically there. Now all those pupils, 150,000 or even more, They are all attending this Bhandara at the comfort of their home. They have not to spend money on air trips, they are not on railway trips or any other expenses. They should all save that money. At least we all should save that money of airfare and all other expenses. Save that money, keep it in a separate purse and use it whenever there is any difficulty, or you give it to the mission. So these are the things which every Abhyasi should think over and plan accordingly.
I thank you, Vinay, for the clarifications that you've been able to share with us. I'm left comfortable with the feeling that we are looking at a sustainable solution, which will take time to evolve, because some of the issues we are groping in the dark. As you said, we have no way to check and verify that anyone coming in is completely free from this virus. We are not equipped to do that. And so we have to fall back on the safety margin, saying that let us be prepared in such a way that this does not come in through anybody to anybody inside here, because it's a self-feeding vicious cycle that sets in. That the relapse, if it comes, is going to be much more, because our mental comfort levels would have been already depleted, and we would have briefly tasted the so-called liberty of a freedom for a few days, and then get hit again. It is going to be much too painful for us to really contemplate with that.
Sure.
But in one way that I feel that individually I can help build up my defenses. I can help grow this egregore of brothers and sisters here around me, around all over the world, with completely positive thoughts. But all of us, I'm sure, have understood the benefits of following this discipline of morning meditation, our meditation practice. And if anything, we don't have the excuse of saying, I don't have time to do this. I have all the time to do it now, and more time to do a good job, to do a job where it should have been done from the beginning. Now I have the opportunity to do that practice in a very systematic manner, and hopefully that brings in certain sincerity into my systematic practice, which will now form a good positive pattern going forward. And are there any other issues that, Bajpaji, you want us to focus on in this matter? Or Vinith Bhai, you want to contribute your final thoughts before? I would like to share one slide which has been presented by Daji to us about how an individual, not just the three of us in the program, a few of us who are monitoring the program, or the people who are listening to the program, every single individual around can take a positive, contributory, effective, efficient, meaningful, fulfilling step. Daji has given a very brief insight to that, which I would like to present before we sign off. But I would like to throw this open for both of you to just, okay, I think now we have fallen short of time now.
Yes.
The screen is already visible to everybody. Vinith Bhai, would you like to read the screen? Is the screen visible to you?
Yes, it is.
Can you read out the prayerful suggestions?
The first one is, all sisters and brothers are developing correct thinking, right understanding, and an honest approach to life. They are attaining rightness in action and perfection in character.
Carry on.
Everything surrounding us, the air particles, people, the birds, the trees, the flowers, the ceiling, the wall, the paintings, everything around us is absorbed in godly remembrance. All are in osmosis with the source, developing increased peacefulness and moderation. Third, all sisters and brothers, those who are really craving for the ultimate, are being attracted towards our great beloved Master and they are being pulled towards him.
These suggestions can be followed by anybody and everybody, anytime, anywhere, as often as required, as often as one feels motivated. So with that, I thank both of you for giving us your time, and hopefully we'll all be looking at more involved sessions in taking all of us forward in the most positive direction ahead. Namaste.
Thank you. My prayers.
Namaste, namaste, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. All
Over
the
to
best.
Heartfulness team now.
All the best.
This is about the next webinar, which is being planned now for May 3rd. This immunity, the will to sustain. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Pranam.
sir.
Namaskar.
Pranam, pranam ji, pranam. Namaskar.